Hi, this is Tom, and I'm going to show you how to build this envelope icon in PowerPoint. Now, the goal here really isn't so much in building the icon as it is that you can learn to use PowerPoint as a graphics editor to build your own graphics. And then the other goal is that you would become more proficient in using PowerPoint. So using these types of tutorials and exercises is going to help you do that. And the more proficient you are in PowerPoint, the better your rapid e-learning courses are going to become. So let's go ahead and get started. So we're going to go to a blank slide, and the first thing we want to do is create our envelope shape, which is just going to be a rectangle, and then we want to add a gray outline to that. So I'm going to use this fourth gray color here, and we want to add a gradient fill to the shape. So we're going to add a gradient fill. I'm in PowerPoint 2007, so the fill tool is a little different, and how you do it in other versions of PowerPoint will be a little different. But we're going to use a radial fill, and what we want is we want the center to be white and go out to gray. So I've got a radial fill, and then I'm going to use the From Center tool. So you can see it's white here and it comes out to gray. And that's our basic shape. Now what we want is to create the flap. So there's two ways to create the flap. The first way is you can just use one of PowerPoint's predetermined shapes and add that as a flap. I'm going to use the curve tool. So I select the curve tool, go to a corner, click on it. Then I'll just drag it down to about the center of where the envelope's at. Click and then drag back to the other corner and then double click. And that'll create my curve. And then I'll just make it a little gray, but just a little lighter. And we want to fill this with a linear gradient fill. So we're going to format shape, go to fill, gradient, and we're going to choose a linear. And with the linear, what we want is kind of darker on the bottom, lighter on top. You can switch that around and do the opposite. I kind of like that because it's going to make it look like there's a slight pucker to it. So you can see it's a little darker here and lighter up on top. So there's our shape. I'm going to nudge this down just a nudge. And now we want to create our drop shadow. So to create the drop shadow for the flap is we just select the flap tool, hit Shift and Control, and then drag down, and that'll duplicate the flap, and we just want to fill that with gray. And now we've got our drop shadow, so we need to put that behind the original flap. So select the original flap and just bring that to the front, and now you can see the shadow's not lined up. And what I normally do is I'll just click on this and then kind of line it up so I've kind of got a slight distance from there, and then I'm just going to drag the top up here. And what you do is the curve changes a little on that. And so you've got a nice looking shadow. Now what we do is we just want to add the line. So that's just a matter of clicking the triangle tool and dragging that into place. And once that's in place here, we can just turn the fill color off because we don't care about the fill, and we'll just select the outline here. We'll choose the same as the outline color. And then we're going to take the flaps and bring those to the front. And so there's our outline, our envelope. Now the only thing we have left to do is to create the arrow, and that's actually pretty easy. So let's go ahead and grab an arrow tool, and I'll show you how we do this here. So in PowerPoint 2007, you can format your shapes to freeform. So we're going to go to Convert to Freeform. Now I can right click on it and edit the points. So at the points that I can edit, now I can create, I can drag the points around, and the other thing is each point allows me to change the curve, so I can play around with it. And you can play around with the curve and see how that works for you. And then you can create a curve to your arrow shape, and it just takes getting used to doing that. I'm going to delete this, and I already have one that I started with, so we'll use that. So here's the shape already created, and it was just modifying the curve. And what I did was I filled it with blue, and I made it a linear gradient, so there's a little darker here and lighter here. And then to create the highlights, all you have to do is select a shape. So in this case, I just have this shape here is this. So I just rotated it, and then you can change the thickness. And then to make it the right color is just turn off the outline and change the fill color to white, and then change its transparency. So there's how you get that. So then that's how I got these two highlights here. Once you have the highlights in place, just take the arrow and move it down, and you're done.